Hi, my dog lovers. Hi, this is Dr. Dobias here. And today I would like to talk to you about a topic that we all dog lovers have to face sooner or later. Dog loss and losing our beloved friends. Just a few days ago, I had someone contacting me on Instagram saying that she lost her dog last September and that she is still missing her dog very much. And despite being a mother of 3 children, she still misses the touch of her dog, the presence, the happiness, the energy. And I must say that since I lost Skai in May last year, I've been going through a lot of learning and obviously a lot of sadness and also a lot of happiness, because when you lose a dog, you miss them, but you also feel their presence and you feel the love and you feel how much they meant to you. So people often ask, how do I deal with loss? How do people deal with loss? How shall they deal with loss? They wonder when it is good time to get a new dog, and often they also wonder, how did it happen that their dog died even though they were doing everything they could? How does it happen that we feed raw food and we give all the different supplements and exercise our dogs and look after them, and at the same time we lose them? And I was thinking about how to respond, and it's like being a farmer, right? Growing beautiful or having an orchard and growing apples, and you grow these beautiful apples and you pick them and they're wonderful and healthy and they taste good, and eventually they shrivel up and they die, they turn back to earth. And it is really unreasonable of us to expect that with our dogs something else happens, right? Like if we do everything right, that they will not one day die. It's just silly that we even think that we've done something wrong when our dogs die. What I think is really cool, that we can extend our dog's life by 20, 25, 30%. And this is something that I've seen in my practice and in other practices of other colleagues. And in human terms, this life extension would be 20, 25 years, right? If you think of 20% of lifespan, 25% of lifespan, that's into decades. So even though it never is enough and we never have enough time with our dogs, we've already together, we've done we've made a lot of changes. And dogs that according to the statistics should live 12 years, they live now 16 and so on. So how does it happen? How does it happen that our dogs die? I started to kind of think about aging process, not on the emotional or even the simple physical level, but on the level of chromosomes and repetition and repair of body and tissue. And as you know, every dog has chromosomes, and there's DNA that replicates and helps us to regenerate, whether it's our dogs or us. And the chromosomes over time get shortened. They have these little ends, almost like caps, and they're called telomeres. And the telomeres protect the important parts of the DNA from damage and from wrong replication and from wrong reprints, in a way, from errors in the copies of the DNA. But as time progresses, these little protective caps, they actually get shorter. And when, let's say, a child is born, they have 3 times the length of telomere of a senior person. So as the telomere shorten, the cells actually get to a point where they stop replicating and when they stop actually regenerating. And this is a process of aging. So what we can do, we can provide our dogs with good diet, with good building blocks to make sure that the repair reactions and the DNA can repair properly. Obviously exercise, oxygenation, good mood, happiness, all that is super important. But eventually, no matter what we do, the cycle of life is such that we have to say goodbye, right? And this is the difficult part, because quite often we blame ourselves. We also question whether there could be something else that we could do, while this process is inevitable. And even though you're doing everything right, there are other factors playing a role. Genetic predisposition. Some dogs and people are or have a tendency to live longer, and others have a genetic predisposition to live shorter life. Meaning that if you have a dog that passes at the age of 11 or 12, maybe if you did nothing, the dog would be gone by the age of 8 or 9. So again, this is something that we can say for sure. But when it comes to the process of dealing with losing our dogs and just allowing ourselves to grieve and allowing ourselves to go through the process, there is nothing we can do than using a few tools that help us. I really apologize. There's this little parrot of my neighbor, and they usually put him out there, and he screeches and screeches. And I imagine he's gonna be, speaking of longevity, he's gonna be living longer than any of us here. Anyway, if you are in the group of people and dog lovers who lost their dogs, I have learned a lot of different ways of coping and adjusting to the new situation. I love taking pictures of anyone that I love, because then when they're not here, then I can go back to the pictures. And emotionally, it is kind of a bittersweet feeling, because you love seeing the pictures and at the same time it makes you a little sad. But I love going through the pictures, and they somehow keep me in touch and allow me to remember what it was like to have Skai around. Videos, obviously, videos are super important, and doing crazy things. You know, the favorite times with Skai were the times when I did something really outrageous, like took him to Paris and did down dog around Paris with him, and did yoga under the Eiffel Tower with him, and played with him, and put him in a lap of statues and all that. Those are the times when I know most people thought, oh my God, he's crazy. But honestly, they were the best times. So videos and photos, make sure that you take many of them. And I've been actually thinking about maybe organizing a course for dog lovers, how to take good pictures, because I know that there are ways of taking pictures that are much more memorable than others. If you lost your dog, exercise is really another way of kind of getting your head in a different space. When I lost Skai, I got a bike, and I wanted to do something different than we didn't do with Skai. I wanted to get a little bit of a break from the places where we used to go, to the parks and beaches. So I would just hop on my bike and I would bike. And one day, and I used to say, when I'm sad, I go and bike. And one day I happened to go about 80 miles up from Vancouver to Whistler. I started biking at 5 p.m. and I arrived after midnight, right? And it allowed me to actually be with the feelings as well. You know, many people try to fight the feelings of grief, and I usually tell other dog lovers and my clients that the best way to deal with grief is actually to face it. And I usually imagine that grief or sadness or the feeling of sadness has a volume, and I kind of try to feel where I feel that particular sensation, and then I imagine that I turn the volume not down but up, amplify the feeling, amplify the emotion. And it's really interesting, because when I allow myself to feel what I feel, it just kind of disappears. It's almost like grief and sadness is afraid of being faced. And when we fight it, when we feel bad for it, then it becomes much more difficult. But when you imagine that it has the volume and you amplify the sadness, the feeling of sadness, then it suddenly disappears. And what is left is this amazing feeling of love for our dogs that we have, and for everyone, right? So that's another way I deal with the feeling of loss and missing Skai. I like to take it easy in going to places where we went with Skai, parks and our little Capilano Canyon, or canyon nearby our house where we used to go all the time. I've been maybe twice in the last year. There's some places where I can't go still because it's just not possible. Like I just don't want to be challenging myself too much. So take it easy when you have parks and favorite places where you went with your dog, and go there, but go there maybe with friends or with other dogs when you're not really exposed to the rawness of the emotion. If you lost your dog, another medicine is to travel. You've noticed probably in the last year, I've traveled more than ever before. And it is good to go to different places. It is good to put your mind elsewhere. It is good to learn about new people and get to see new dogs and take pictures and all that. And every time, when I had a dog, when Skai was with me, I didn't notice other dogs as much as I do now. I now just kind of see a dog and I'm magnetized by the dog, and I wanna be close to them. So just do that as well. I think that it's a good medicine, right, to get a dog fix or dog sit or look after other dogs or just be in touch with them. I like to kind of create a little world of imagination as well. I like to listen to the universe, and even though we have no idea whether for sure there's afterlife or not, I think the energetic presence of our dogs is still around. And when Skai died, I decided to go for a little boat trip with my sisters and my brother-in-law, and we were sailing in the Mediterranean, and there were dolphins, and we were looking at the dolphins, and we were also talking about afterlife, and I thought, I'm not sure whether the afterlife exists because we don't have a proof, but how about if we try this? And I was thinking in my head, well, Skai, if you're around, just show me a sign. And suddenly those dolphins just jumped up, and they created a little heart, and then other people started calling, look, they created a heart, and they didn't know what I was thinking. So that was really cool, and I was thinking, wow, this is really amazing, and it made me feel like it's better to play with the idea that our dogs are somewhere out there, whether it's rainbow bridges for some people or some sort of heaven, or the energy or the spirit somewhere. And even though we can't really prove it, it's a really good medicine. I've had a few little other situations that happened in the course of the last year. One of them was with my friend, and we were talking about tattoos. And I said, I don't think I'll ever get a tattoo, but if I got a tattoo, it would be a water drop with the letter S in it. And I'm an Aquarius, and S for Sky. And the next morning, I usually get up early and I do my stretching and my yoga, and I looked out in the garden and there was a little balloon, and there was an S, inflated S, like a birthday balloon in the form of S. And I was just perplexed. It was so cool. So again, I thought, okay, why not to take it as the message from my dog, right? And then the last story was I was hiking up on Whistler Mountain in British Columbia, and there are a lot of marmots, and they whistle. They stand up and whistle. And I hiked, and then I saw a marmot, and he was just about to turn around, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to do another test. So I thought, okay, Skai, are you there? And the marmot kind of looked back at me, and they normally run away, but he stopped and he sat like a dog. And then he did something that was absolutely mind-blowing. He actually lied down and put his head on his front legs like Skai did, and just watched me. And it was just so cool. And again, I now am in a very different space, thinking, okay, you're still around here, even though I don't have a definite proof. It's better to take these signals that our dogs are around, and on some level, we intuitively know that the energy is ever present. I'm not sure whether all of you know that when I got Skai, it was about 15 years after I had to part my ways with a horse that I loved. And when I moved from Czech Republic to Canada, this horse was sold. She wasn't mine, but she was owned by the riding club, and she was sold to a family. And I lost touch with her, and I felt like I never got a chance to really be with her as much as I wanted to. So when Skai came to my life, and he started, he started being the amazing dog that he was, I was thinking, oh my God, like you are so much like my horse. And he definitely was. He would like to run courses in the forest and jump over obstacles, and they had the same coloring. And I was just so happy. I was thinking, okay, I don't really know whether this is true or not, but I'm just going to live my life with you, Skai, as if you were my horse. So the whole 16 years was really amazing and magical, because I felt like I could do anything for him. I was a vet, and I could look after him, and I could teach others how to look after their dogs. So the whole period of being with Skai was just so enriching and so fantastic. And he's gone through the failures and tribulations of me trying to run a holistic clinic when the only way you can run veterinary clinic is by selling processed food and vaccines and drugs, right? And I decided not to do that. So it was very difficult for me for many, many years to actually make it a go. And then he's gone through allowing me to just kind of transit and sell my practice and be there for you, my dog lovers, in a different way, and teaching you for free, and then formulating the products. Everything was just so cool. So, if you lost a dog, just look out and see. Maybe there are some signals. Maybe there are some ways of you connecting with your dog, or maybe look out for your next dog or your next child. You never know. And even though we can't have 100% proof of this, it's just nicer and better if we create the world where our dogs never die, right? So, yeah, call me crazy, but this is how I deal with things. Many people ask me when their dog's life is coming to an end, how do I know that it's the right time? How do I know that I should let go? And in the course of 30 years of my practice, I've never known or never seen a person who would not know when the right time comes. So I always say, you will know for sure. And I think that making that decision, I'm one of those people who actually do not go to heroic measures, or I don't recommend going to heroic measures and extending life beyond what really our dogs would wish. I don't like dogs being in going through surgeries and chemotherapy and radiation and all these different procedures, while I know that their quality of life will not be restored. So sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. But generally, I am the kind of person, because I've seen so many dogs, I kind of go, okay, our dogs are here to decide when they want to go, and we are here for them to have a smooth transition and express our love by letting them go. So I'm a big proponent of the saying that if we love someone, we set them free of pain and suffering. Yeah, so that's about it today. I wanted to answer the question of one of our dog lovers from Instagram, and I thought it would be good to connect with you and just kind of talk about the topic that quite often we don't like to talk about, right? So today I gather the courage. I confess I miss Skai every day. I drag that little stuffed doggy that I found a week before he died, and drag him everywhere. I went skiing up to Whistler, and I drag him there, and I'm back home, and I have him here. And so if you've lost your dog, I hope this video will help you a little bit. And if you're worried about your dog getting older, just do all you can. Extend the telomeres, right? Give your dog good food. Give your dog good supplements and nutrients and exercise and align the spine and make sure that you love your dog clearly and without any limitations. Nothing is too much. if you want your dog to sleep in the bed, make him or her sleep in the bed. If you want to do crazy things and take your dog around the world, do that, because it will never ever look crazy and sound crazy when your dog is not around. But the other thing I wanted to say, try to live with your dog as if one day was the last day. And at the same time, if the fear of the end is coming, or impending end is there, just turn the volume of your feeling, turn the volume of your emotion, and allow it to flow through. And if you do that, you will not hold it in, because the emotions that are held in are much more damaging. And I think that the people who go through the process, who are not afraid to face the fear, have dogs that live longer. But once again, we never know what our dog's plan is, and that's why we just have to hope that it's going to be as long as possible and do our best, but also prepare that our dogs will never leave in spirit and the energetic way. So hopefully you can take a few little hints from this little broadcast, and it's been really nice to connect with you, and thanks for hanging out, and I will be back. Take care. Cheers.